course, I didn't think about it.
You're good. Good evening. Welcome to the Board of Selectmen's meeting on June 16th, 2025. We'll call the meeting to order at 6:01. Can I get a roll call, please, Beth?
Select Chair, Mr. Coy.
Here?
Select Vice Chair, Mr. DeRoche.
Here.
Selectman, Mr. Gifford.
Here.
Selectwoman, Ms. Costa. Here. Selectman, Mr. Shorman.
Excused.
And also note for the record, we have Town Manager, Mr. Colby, present.
And if we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. And public comment. Doesn't look like anyone for public comment. And first up, we have the police officer, somebody new that will be swearing in. So if you can come on up, chief, and introduce him and let us know. These are always good events.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I'm John Santoro, Police Chief, and I'm here to swear in a promotional service for Lieutenant Bob Dior, who was a sergeant in our police department, recently promoted to lieutenant. So I'm going to read a little bio of the lieutenant, and then we'll do a swearing in with the signature and pinning. Lieutenant Robert Dior has been a member of the Plastow Police Department since 2011. During his time here, he served in a patrol division of approximately a decade of service on the evening shift, in addition to being on a day shift patrol supervisor since 2022. Lieutenant Dior has been involved with numerous notable incidents and investigations and arrests during his time with the Plastow Police Department. He's held positions such as Department Field Training Officer and Advanced Instructor Certification, including that of Firearms Instructor, in addition to being a graduate of the FBI Leader Trilogy Award and Program. As a result of this, he has directly trained and mentored many of the officers currently employed by the agency, including all 3 sergeants. Additionally, Lieutenant Dior has previously received numerous life-saving accommodations for successfully performing CPR and utilizing the department's AED, automatic external defibrillator, and has received an Exceptional Service Award for successfully negotiating and de-escalating an armed, suicidal, despondent individual in a state of crisis. Lieutenant Dior has earned a bachelor's degree in criminal justice from Westfield State University out of Westfield, Massachusetts in 2010. It's a little bio on Lieutenant Dior. He comes with strong recommendations and support from his fellow employees and former fellow sergeants. Lieutenant Dior is being named as an interim lieutenant, that being for the fact that it is a temporary basis until we get the whole procedure through of testing, interviewing, and processing. It is a 6-month process to do that. In the meantime, we felt the need and the opportunity for him to take on this role, to assist Captain Mazur and I with the various administrative and operational parts of the police department. It also gives a chance for the lieutenant to practice and exercise his position if, in fact, he is the final candidate after the selection process later on this year. His promotion, if in fact it becomes permanent, whether it's from him or any other member of the police department, will then potentially open up positions for attrition for others to come up through the ranks to patrolman to sergeant and such, and then filling that vacant patrolman's position if that all comes to fruition.
Nice. No, it's always good to see things filled up, and if someone been able to move up the line, that's always great to see. That's how it should be.
And again, as I may have mentioned, he's highly respected by members of the department. They look up to him and often reach out to him for advice, both while he's working and oftentimes when you're home, calling on his cell phone for advice. So.
Perfect. You guys, anything?
Congratulations.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
So, Selectman
Very
Coy,
impressive resume.
Martha's out today, so I believe you're going to be doing the swearing in.
Hope I remember not to swear.
I, Robert Dior,
Do solemnly and sincerely swear and affirm
do solemnly, sincerely swear and affirm
that I will bear faith
that I will be a faith
and true allegiance
and true allegiance
to the United States of America
the United States of America,
and the state of New Hampshire,
and the state of New Hampshire,
and will support the Constitution thereof,
and will support the Constitution thereof.
so help me God.
So help me God.
I state your name.
I, Robert Dioria,
Do solemnly and sincerely swear
do solemnly and sincerely swear
and affirm
and affirm
that I will faithfully
that I will faithfully
and impartially discharge
and impartially discharge
and perform all duties
and perform all the duties
incumbent upon me
incumbent upon me
as a full-time police lieutenant
as a full-time police lieutenant
in the town of Glasgow,
for the town of Glasgow,
according to the best of my abilities,
according to the best of my abilities,
agreeable to the rules and regulations
agreeable to the rules and regulations
of this Constitution
of this Constitution
and the laws of the state of New Hampshire.
and the laws of the state of New Hampshire.
So help me God.
So help me God.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good luck. We really appreciate it.
Thank you. I appreciate you.
Congratulations, Lieutenant.
I will pin the lieutenant, hopefully not sticking there.
Have to put it like the other direction.
Yeah, that's what I pressed on.
Oh, that's gonna be bad worse.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations and thank you very much.
Thank you.
The town appreciates it.
Thank you.
I'll be back up shortly
Yep.
for presentation.
Absolutely. And next on the agenda is senior transportation. It's Alan, and it looks like you got a few folks with you today. I know senior transportation, the Lions Club's been talking about this for a little bit. And
We
even
sure
town
have.
will talk.
So I'll start. My name's Alan Davis. I'm a member of the Plasto Lions Club. And a few years ago, as president of the club, my King Lion project was to bring senior transportation to the town of Plasto. I had met with Health and Human Services Department here at Town Hall and asked about things that are needed in the community. And the biggest need by far at the time was transportation for seniors. So I made that my project, and it's been a few years of researching and a lot of meetings, and we've had some help from Scott Bogle at Rockingham Planning Commission. He brought Connie Young to us with the Greater Salem Caregivers, and we've been in discussions for many months. So I'd like to turn it over to Connie and let her give you an overview of what the project will entail. So this is Connie Young.
Thank you, Alan.
Welcome.
Thank you. Good evening, and thank you to the board for allowing me to have a little bit of time with you tonight to tell you about Greater Salem Caregivers and to tell you about what we hope will really come to fruition. So Greater Salem Caregivers we're a nonprofit organization. We currently service older adults, disabled adults in the communities of Salem and Pelham. And how do we do that? We do that with a team of volunteer drivers and visitors. Where do they go? They drive our residents to primarily medical appointments, treatments, medical, dental, vision, anything like that. They drive them to grocery shopping. Sometimes they shop for the person if the person can no longer get out. And the volunteers, they're never asking for anything in return. They want to help their neighbors. They want to help the people in their community. We screen our volunteers. We do criminal background checks, driving record checks, and we try and match them as best we can with the clients because that just makes for a better experience. Our clients are they're seniors. Our seniors are living to be 100 plus. Not unusual. Not unusual.
Mhm.
They're disabled adults. They haven't reached the age of 65 yet, but they have disabilities. And in both seniors and disabled adults, they're dealing with not being able to drive any longer and not being able to take care of their basic needs. And that's where we come in. We're trying to help them take care of their basic needs. We're also trying to help them avoid loneliness, isolation. Sometimes people don't see another human being from one beginning of the week to the end of the week. So there are, when we drive a client, it creates some social engagement, and it's more than a ride. So we want to bring this to Plastow. We were in Plastow. I think we had to stop back in 2017-18. And the challenge is finding volunteer drivers. That it's a year-round, never-ending activity that I live with, looking for recruiting new volunteers. Thanks to the group I've been working with, Alan and the Lions, I think we have quite a strong start here. I really do. We're successful at recruitment when we can connect with our community and connect with the people in the community. You're our best advocates. You are truly, and you help make those connections happen. So we're proposing and hoping that you will agree that this would be a good thing for Plastow, that it would help your residents. I'm not sure. I know some of the transportation that is happening now, but it's limited. It's very limited. Their families can only do so much, so we all know. We all know. We'd like to start in on July 1st, start recruiting our volunteers, helping them understand what this program is about, what the commitment would be, and then move on, when we have enough volunteers, move on to letting the residents know that this service is here. I have to hold myself back because it's not going to happen overnight. It won't. So I'm going to have to be patient, and I would ask that same patience from the Lions, from the town.
Of course.
But we will get there. We will get there. And I believe it's a valuable service. I have a long history of working with older adults, and I just love helping them know what's available and getting what they need. And with that, I'm going to stop.
As you can see, we've got several members of the Lions Club here to help support us. We've been discussing this in meetings throughout the year. And I know we've got the backing of a 50-plus member community service organization to help get the word out and recruit volunteers.
So that's probably the biggest thing, is getting the volunteers, I would imagine, right?
Yes. Yeah, that's the biggest challenge, right? Is finding those volunteer drivers.
It's a challenge, but, the Lions are going to be a tremendous help.
Yeah.
You're all going to be a tremendous help because you're going to tell somebody. You're going to know someone that retired, and you're going to say, well, what are you going to do? Word of mouth is a great thing. We will do advertising. We will strategically be in the community holding informational sessions. Okay. So the word will get out there, and one by one, that's how it happens. We'll get enough volunteers. And what I will do I'm going to be looking for, let's say I have 5 volunteers. I'm going to be looking at when they're available. And at some point I'm going to say, okay, I have a good crew here. I can accommodate most of the days of the week. And then I'll say, let's go.
Absolutely. Start taking on clients and start providing service.
Right. Like I said, we will all need to be patient, but getting the volunteers is the first thing. It really is the first step to this. We are able to reimburse volunteers for mileage. If they want it, all they have to do is let me know. I ask them to submit a monthly travel report to me, and then we will pay the mileage that they have traveled. And that I have, well, well, not even half of my current volunteers take it, but the ones that take it, we're happy to be able to do that. And, our board of directors, met with Alan and Bob, and they work hard to fundraise for the organization, just to help support it.
And this is no charge to anybody that wants to use the service? Is there a fee or
There's no fee. There is no fee. When we go out and meet with clients, so for a client, for us to be able to service a client, we actually do an intake. And we do the intake in that client's home. And we explain to them exactly how it works, give them an opportunity to ask us anything they want to ask. Because it's very difficult for someone who's been very independent, very free all their lives. All of a sudden they have to get in a car with a stranger. That's really scary. So I want to know that they have had all their questions answered to, best we can do at that moment that we meet. And they always, repeatedly, they ask about, can I tip the driver? And we asked them, we said the drivers aren't looking for any type of monetary, incentive. I said, if you want to do something, you can make a donation to the program. That's very helpful, but it's never, ever expected. I'm also on that home visit. I am, I'm making sure that the client, they have to be able to get in and out of a car on their own. Because we're a non-medical service. Mm-hmm. We cannot, anything that requires us to put hands on that person, it crosses the line to medical. Mm-hmm. We can't do it. Our volunteers are not trained. Our insurance wouldn't cover us. So nobody's allowed to do that. And if they can't, every now and then somebody cannot, they just don't have the mobility for us to be able to safely transport them. We try and identify for them other resources. That's very much a part of our mission. We don't just say, yep, here's the ride, see you later. When we hear about other needs, we're going to try and help them connect with that other service that will make a difference in their life.
Connie, I had a couple of questions. And thank you for coming tonight. So in the recruitment phase, what is that going to look like? We're going to have various information nights in town?
You're going to see information nights. Right now, I'm thinking the library would be a key place. I will need to talk with the Lions. Should we actually be at a Lions meeting? When there's a good-sized group there, absolutely. What would that look like?
Because I think we can help from the town perspective in that respect. If we move ahead with this, we can put it on our town webpage and our message board out front and help with that advertising.
I would be letting you know, okay, here's what we're doing, when we're doing it, where we're doing it, so that you could help promote that. We'll promote it on Facebook and anything you can do on social media.
The Lions will also help to promote that,
right.
And get the word out for sure.
I would definitely schedule a daytime informational session and an evening one. I don't know which time will pick up more people. It's hard to know. Okay. A lot of our drivers are newly retired, so they're free during the day. But definitely your library, and I've gone to your library before for other educational workshops, and it's like a magnet.
Yeah.
So
they have a lot of great programs.
Yeah,
it's easy to get in and out of. There's a big room there.
Yeah.
You could also reach out to the Elder Affairs Committee and perhaps they'll invite us to one of their meetings and get involved with some of their activities.
Yeah.
Also, the Vic Gary Center is a great place. We'd get the word out through them.
Yeah, the Vic Gary, that's where I would turn to people right in the community. Maybe I go in there both for volunteer recruitment and for marketing to clients. probably both there.
Mhm,
Probably both. I'll pretty much go to any group that will let me in the door. You know, like, you know, so, you know, like it's very much get the word out, get the message out. This is here, it's available, and then people start talking about it.
And if I wanted to volunteer to drive, you're going to do a background check. Is there any other requirements that that driver needs, like air in the tires? You know, I'm making a joke, but you know, a good running car, insurance,
I'm
that type
going.
of.
You would provide me with a current New Hampshire driver's license.
Mhm.
Well, it could be Massachusetts. It really could. A current license, proof of your current auto insurance. We will take copies of that. Then you fill out the criminal background check. I would, what I'm going to do after these information sessions, I'll have staff with me. One of them is a notary. If someone wants to move forward right then and there, we can do all the paperwork, notarize it. We send that off to Concord for both the criminal background check and the driving record check. We ask people before we do it, you know, we'll let them know if anything's on there that, you know, let us know ahead of time. And I mean, honestly, I know that there have been some things on driving record checks when somebody was 19, it's still showing up. Was a dumb kid, and now that guy's 65. You know,
They were
Might be
they
able
were
to
at
pass the
Woodstock.
yeah. So, but we do. There have been other times where I've had to say to that person, I wish I could accept you, but I can't. You know, so it goes both ways.
And if we start to get to the point where we have drivers and we're looking for riders and people looking for rides, do they call the town hall or do they call Greater Salem Caregivers or
They're
someone
going.
else?
They're going to call Greater Salem Caregivers. Okay, both new clients, new volunteers. Okay, and then we'll arrange. Once we get going, we'll arrange a time to meet with that potential new volunteer, and we'll set up a home visit for the client. Now we will be looking for. I'm going to be looking for what I call a community liaison. That is a Plastow resident that would sort of be my boots on the ground in the community. So when I get that call from that Plastow resident and they need an intake, that person will actually go out and do the intake. I do that in the town of Pelham, and it works very well. There's something magical about that resident from that Pelham resident meeting with that, or Pelham volunteer meeting with the Pelham resident. It's just, it helps them connect.
That'll be part of the phase one recruiting process, finding that community liaison
Finding
to
that
serve as
person.
that volunteer,
Yeah.
for sure.
Yeah, yeah.
Phase one is strictly recruit and train volunteers. Then once we get through that, you get enough volunteers, then you'd be looking at phase two, which that's when you start to get folks enrolled that might be
I'm
interested.
projecting here that phase one, you know, we start July, we plan to run through September. That,
Okay.
We get advertising out, we get informational sessions set up. They occur. I think it's going to take that amount of time. The
Okay.
other thing is, given, the time of year, when are the most people going to be around? You know, are they going to be around the second half of August? Are they, so we'll have to time some of that. If we don't succeed the first time, we'll go back.
Okay.
We'll do it again. And
And that recruiting effort will probably extend not only into phase two, but it'll be ongoing, I would think. We're always going to be looking at advertising for volunteers.
I am continually recruiting in Pelham and Salem, continually recruiting. Because what happens is, I'm getting more clients in both communities. So that's one thing. And then the other thing, you know, some volunteers, they say, but I go to Florida. I leave November 1st and I'm back until April. That's okay. You can still volunteer. We just take you, you know, we make you inactive for that period of time. And so it's a very fluid, moving roster of people, you know.
You handle all that coordination, all the calls are going into Greater Salem Caregivers, all the onboarding and intake, the administrative, scheduling, dispatching, so there'd be no burden on the town of Plastow or town hall employees for any of this program.
No. I don't believe there would be a burden. I think it will be an asset.
I agree.
And, you know, if I had to give you all jobs, I'd say your job is go get me a volunteer. Each of you get me one. You know?
And how far would you be willing to take someone for an appointment? Is it generally, were you going to Boston for, say, someone at a doctor's appointment in Boston? Does it go as far as Boston? Or is it all
Yeah.
just in this general area?
We do. We go as far as Boston, make fair number of trips into Mass General. I mean, any of the medical facilities in Boston, but Mass General is a big destination. Waltham is becoming bigger. Every now and then we'll see the other hospitals, but that's primarily. So every now and then we'll see Danvers, Burlington Leahy Clinic. That's another popular one. I think, I'm not sure what we will see with Plastow residents. I'm going to guess that some of them will be headed the Salem direction to Mass General there, or those medical providers, but I'm fairly sure that we'll see Exeter, Fort Smith, Amesbury. I think it's going to be a very different, you know, travel route. Time will tell, because I've just seen a big switch, and many of Salem residents have all of a sudden started going to Lowell. So as everything changes in healthcare,
Right.
you know.
I was just curious if you went into Boston, because obviously a lot of folks have
But we
appointments
do,
in Boston.
we do go in. The drivers, you know, when they're signing up, we're going to ask them, where do they want to drive to? We're hoping that they do want to drive to Boston. Most of them don't, you know, but we do have some that will.
Okay.
So I do see that there's a financial commitment here in phase 3, well, phase 2, 1 and 2, but in phase 3, it talks about a year afterwards, right? So that financial commitment's based on the ridership.
That's what you're looking at there, that requested amount for calendar year 2026.
Yeah.
It's my best projection, and I have nothing to base it on. You know,
Right.
what I based it on was the town of Pelham. It is larger. There are more seniors. So I looked at their numbers, their activity, their funding, and I came down on the request to Plastow. What you would be receiving from me a year from now, or, you know, whatever your schedule looks like for budgeting, would be based on actual numbers.
Right.
So that is
So,
a projection.
yeah.
And I don't know if I've hit the mark or not, but that's how I did it.
We had some help from Scott Vogel at RPC. He provided some demographic information comparing the towns of Plastow and Pelham. So that was helpful.
Yeah,
in
yeah.
making these estimates.
How long has Pelham been on board with you?
I want to, you know, I started at Caregivers in 2022, and I don't know if, I think Pelham has been on board since the beginning, but I'd need to check that history. And the beginning was 1989.
Okay.
At one point, there were 6 towns involved, Plastow being one of them. And then Atkinson was another one. I mean, Atkinson, they have their own very successful program going. You know, some of the communities did something different. But I want to, I'd have to look up. I'd have to check.
You're talking 89, that's like 35 years.
Right, well, I was
It's
just
hard to say, but
ramping
we
up,
got 35.
trying to see how long
89
things
seems
can
like it was
ramp up.
yesterday. Liz?
Just a quick question. In reading this, and I think this is a fabulous program because it is truly a needed program in this area. And it says the cost is either going to be paid for the town or by a partner organization. So I'm not sure how that's going to be divided up and who's going to share that cost, or if is the cost going to be with the town or is it going to be with a partner organization? And how's that going to look?
So I can answer that. So there is some funding available as part of the Plastow Lions Club King Lion project that I referred to at the opening. The club has earmarked some funds to set aside for my senior transportation project, and thankfully they've been able to carry those funds over year after year as we've been working out the details of this. So the Lions Club is prepared to make a significant financial contribution to the program to help get it off the ground.
Oh, thank you.
Yes.
And I'll be looking for that form to volunteer. And I'll drive to Boston.
Thank you, Liz.
So we're looking at the cost to implement phase one is $3,650, right? Correct, that's what I'm looking at here.
Yeah.
And that's to help with the recruitment and the training of the volunteers and getting it so you're at the point to get up and going.
Right, right.
And then we hit phase two, and then I would imagine for the calendar year, we probably have to, would we have to do anything? No, probably not. Just trying to think out loud.
It'd be something we'd probably look to include in the budget
Budget, right?
for the next year.
So roughly, you're really to run the service, if you think about it, for the amount we're looking at here, it's almost like $1 a resident. That's really what it is, if you look at it that way.
How much?
Yes.
$1 a resident.
$1 a resident.
Because we're roughly 8,000,
Yeah.
like 7,800, right? So, and I don't even know if 8,000, that could be high too. 'Cause,
Yeah.
you know, we're
Yeah.
probably smaller than Pelham, right? So that's where I'm coming up with, it'd be
Yeah,
$1.
okay.
Basically, that's what it is, $1 a person. For $1 a person, my opinion, I think it's well
Well
spent
worth the money.
to help folks that can't get to appointments.
Correct. I do have one other question. I know you said that under 65. So what about families who are struggling with transportation and they have children who have medical needs and they need to go to Leahy, Boston, Portsmouth, wherever? Is that something that you would be able to do as well? Or is there another service available for families for that?
Let me make sure I understand. Are we able to go into Boston?
No, I think what it's
no.
saying you have, and I know I had this question to Alan, I'd asked once before. Let's say someone has a child, that
Yeah.
God forbid, they're sick,
Yeah,
and they have to go to Boston. And they need someone, and there's, say, one parent to get in there, but somebody has to be with that child because they could get sick because they may have chemo or whatever. Could this service be used for that as well?
this is where it's hard.
You know what I mean? Because
It's not.
to me, it's a need. That's how I look
I
at
know.
it.
Right, I'm
That's how I
looking at
look
it
at
as a
And
family.
our mission is, and I have to
Yeah.
be mission driven,
Yes, I understand.
is to serve older adults and
Mhm.
disabled adults. And I understand the need. And that's one of those hard things that I would need to say no to.
Mhm.
But I would start putting the word out there and help that family.
So there's still nothing to say a volunteer, still a volunteer could still do it, right? I'm hoping.
I mean, that might be a time where I'd be turning to the Lions and say, I've been approached by this resident and we can't help them,
Mm-hmm.
but is there anybody in your group that can? Or through networking, I would put that word out there to try and get that family some help.
Because that's one.
It's hard for me to say no.
And I understand that I think that it may come up, so when we hear it now, we can say,
Yeah.
that, possibly no, but I'm sure that they will be able to give you or find you some resources or support you to find resources too.
Right, right.
Yeah, as long as there's a way, just to figure out a way to get it done,
Yeah.
because that's how I think.
I mean, I can tell you a very short story. I had somebody call me Friday afternoon at 4:00. He, 80 years old, caring for his 99-year-old aunt who lives with him, who is in the aunt is in top-notch shape. The day before, the 80-year-old had to go to the emergency room, totally unexpected. And he had never thought about, what do I do with my aunt? Like, he needed, so he took her. And so he was fine, thank God. And then he gets home and he's thinking, wait a minute, I need to get a plan for this. So he called us, and we couldn't be that emergency contact for him, but I was able to put the word out to, number one, when he told me where he was living, I knew I knew they had a board there. It was a condo association. So I put the word out to that group, to the Council on Aging, and he's meeting with someone tonight to develop sort of an emergency contact list. So they're the kind of things that can happen.
And I think that's all the community actually needs to hear, is that we can't help. We're going to find someone who can.
Yeah, and that's a big thing. It's personal for someone like myself, because I had a daughter diagnosed with cancer, right? So that's
Yeah.
personal.
Yeah.
We're going to we're either going, hopefully be able to help them or move them, do that warm handoff to that other group that does. And then if that's not possible, then we say, okay, we've got a gap in services. So,
Right. Obviously, I know I had said if we look at it, when we said $1 a resident, if the Lions help out, it's actually be less than that.
And I think this is really like a missing piece to our.
No, it's crucial, right? We're an aging society,
Mhm.
and there are some people that just can't get to appointments. And a lot of times you can't miss those appointments.
Correct.
Anything, John?
I'm good.
Jay?
The only thing I'll add, say what Liz said, like, this is a much needed service in the town of Plastow with our aging population. So I would think moving forward with this would be in the best interest of our residents in our town. So
If we're going to move forward, what do you need from us? Is there anything you're looking from us for tonight, or?
Potentially, if the board could accept the program, adopt the program in the town, if you all are amenable to that, we could get started on recruiting right away. One thing we could do if we have the green light tonight, Connie has already volunteered to come to Old Home Day on Saturday and have a booth, and I've got a volunteer. The Lions Club is also willing to help her with that booth, and we can start to get the word out on Saturday of this week.
Oh, I think that's great. I'm like
Wonderful.
really excited.
But do we have to put a price on it tonight?
I think if
Yes,
it's.
I think we do.
Do we have to put both of them
They
for
can
phase
have that.
1 and phase 2?
Probably
Yes.
we just have to do
So
phase 1. Are you just looking for the approval tonight for phase 1 or phase 1 and 2?
I think ideally we'd be looking for approval to move forward with the whole project, phases 1, 2, and 3.
But just looking at what the dollar amount would be, I don't know what the Lions would be willing to
So
donate, just so we know what.
Sure. So I can tell you that the Lions are willing to split the costs of phases 1 and 2 with the town. So it's $36.50 for phase 1, $36.50 for phase 2. The Lions would pay $36.50 towards those first 2 phases.
So it's 50 cents a resident. Really?
So I just have one question before we go forward. Phase 1 and phase 2 come to completion, and Plastow doesn't have enough to support the drivers. Where do we stand? we don't get enough volunteers. I'm not projecting that, but I'm asking, where does that put us on phase 3 if we don't have enough to support after phase 1 and 2?
Sure. Just continue recruiting.
If we do not have enough volunteers to start to provide services, then we would not go forward. And that would be, we'd have a conversation with all parties. And we'd say, here's where we're at. And
So we'd have to probably know after phase 1 if there's not enough, right? So that's a recruit and train. If we don't have enough to recruit and train, then there probably is no phase 2, right?
Depending on how long phase 1 is. But yeah, that's
I'm saying
my only
roughly.
concern is that,
right, I think phase 1 and 2,
They do kind
They
of
go
go
together.
hand, they kind of go hand in
There's
hand a
going to be
little bit.
overlap.
Yeah.
There's going to be
Yeah.
overlap.
And phase 1's ongoing, because that's recruiting.
Right. It will be heavier in phase 1 and 2 here in comparison to anything happening in Pelham or Salem. Okay. The public needs to see this multiple times before they pay attention. They need to hear it. So 1 and 2 are going to determine the viability of next year.
Yeah.
okay.
Yeah, I think together with the Lions Club and the town, if we can commit to phases 1 and 2 together and give it a good 6 months and see where we're at. I can also offer just kind of anecdotally at a recent Lions meeting over this year, discussions, keeping them updated of the progress and the communications with Connie and Greater Salem. I asked the club, there might be anybody willing to step up and be a volunteer driver, and I saw at least a dozen hands go up in that room of 30 people. I've spoken to other folks in the town who are interested in also volunteering. I believe Liz may have already raised her hand here tonight. So I don't foresee there being any issue with getting to the point where we can start providing services. I mean, Connie's looking for maybe 3 to 5 volunteer drivers to get started. And I think very confident we'll have that, day 1.
And a volunteer could be just as simple as say, look, I can only do Wednesday mornings.
That's fine.
Right, and that's what makes it, if I get 5 volunteers and they're all available to drive on Monday, then I've got to wait until I get,
Every day covered.
Yep.
a better complement of volunteers to
Right.
fill that week.
But what I'm saying is they don't have to commit to 3 days a week. They could say,
No.
Wednesday mornings, I'm free. I'd love to drive someone Wednesday mornings. And if you get enough volunteers, everyone takes half a day, you're pretty good.
This is a job where you get to write your job description in terms of
Your own
availability.
schedule, yeah.
And yeah, and we adhere to that,
Do we need a motion or just a general consensus?
No, I say we need a motion to approve the MOU.
Okay.
So we need to make a motion for the amount that we're going to owe, correct?
Right, which would be the 3650, which would cover phase 1 and 2 from the town.
So I'll make a motion that we go in partnership with Greater Sale Caregivers and the Plastow Alliance, and our portion for the next year is $3,650.
And I'll second.
My third.
No, the only thing I'll say for further discussion, I think it's well needed in the town. And I think it'll be well received, and I really
I think
hope
it
it'll be
will
well
be.
received. Because I know folks, they need, like you mentioned, even just to the grocery store, something like that. There are some folks that unfortunately they become shut-ins, their family may live ways away, and this would help them get out of the house. I do support, I think it's a great idea. I really do.
Thank you very much.
And we'll definitely, in my opinion, we'll, help you get the word out, information nights. If you need help setting up the library, I'm sure we can help out there or wherever. Old Home Day would be great to see you.
And we'll all be stopping by to fill out applications.
Yeah. Anyone else? Any
No,
comments?
thank you so much. I
Thank
the
you, and I
Lions
know-
All those in favor?
Aye.
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 400.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I know my
Thank you.
board of directors.
Thank you, this will be great.
Great job.
Well worth it.
You want to leave them for the hand them out for you?
Oh my gosh, thank you.
Thank you so much. You?
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, and next,
Thank you, Al.
Thank you.
Police Department update.
and next on the agenda, we've got a update from the police department. Come on up, chief. Give you a little more FaceTime. You had a little bit earlier, a little bit more now.
Felt a little shortchanged earlier. I'm glad I'm back. All right, thank you for having me. I've been asked to provide you with a brief update of the state of the department over the past year or so. I think I gave you a similar presentation last year. Some of the stuff you may have already learned about just because it progresses through the year and may come across your table or across your desk or one of the meetings. So I'm going to provide some information for you. In regards to personnel and new hires, it's always in flux and always in motion of hiring and filling positions as different things change and process through. On the communication side, we are currently short one-time full-time dispatcher. One of our dispatchers left for another opportunity for them closer to home. We're in the process right now of filling a one full-time dispatcher position at the police department. So that's ongoing. I think we're at the background stage on that. We hope that position filled within the next 30 days by the time we do background and all the other processes we have to do for that hiring position. On the police side, we recently hired 2 full-time police officers that you saw come up here a few months ago, being sworn in, and we have one opening that is being the process of being filled. Same thing, that is now in the background investigation stage. And an officer will go through a background. The candidate will go through a background investigation, psychological exam, polygraph exam, medical exam, and onboarded eventually. That position, the candidate, without giving away too much information at this time, is a non-certified person, police officers. They would be looking at attending the police academy. I think it's sometime in mid-September. In fact, that goes according to plan and everything lines up as the moons align. Also, that's on filling a position on the police side. As you see, we just filled a lieutenant position this evening, swearing in. And we also recently awarded 3 of our police officers the MPO, Master Police Officer status. That is a position when an officer reaches 5 years of service in the department, they're able to test for the MPO designation or award. They go through a written exam, an oral board exam. I believe Dan has left, but Dan was one of the oral board members. We try to not only take someone from the police department, but another town employee to sit there to give their opinion and thoughts on the oral board. So 3 of our officers, it was Officer LaRosa, who was there earlier, he's on shift tonight, Officer Tebow, and Officer, I'm sorry, I'm drawing a blank right now, but Tebow, LaRosa, sorry, but they just recently were awarded that. And then the K-9 handler position, that, as you know, that we created that position, and as we speak, the cruiser is being upfitted. I spoke to the upfitting company earlier today. They're putting in the cage. They were a little behind due to the fact that they have a large contract they have to fill in a timely manner. But that car is being built right now. They're actually asking us if it can go on display at a regional golf fundraising charity event that's coming up later this summer. They'll be ready for then. They'd like to showcase that vehicle there, just like they did with one of our cruisers last year at the New Hampshire Police Chief Show. So looking to do that there. And the handler, which is Sergeant DeHulu, who you've met before, he was actually here off duty this evening to give support to Lieutenant Dioria. Sergeant DeHulu will be going to the Boston Police K-9 Academy starting mid-September, and it's a 12-week program initially. He then goes back to the field, works with his dog, and then goes back on a regular basis. I believe right after the first of the year, then they go back for a second level training. The first level is patrol tactics, takedown searches, things like that. The second is a specialized training, which will either be narcotics, explosives, or something else. It all depends on what the disposition of the dog is and the disposition of the handler. Through their training, initial training, that is sorted out with the Boston Police K-9 Academy. It says that your dog is a great fit for X or a great fit for Y.
So when would you anticipate the K-9 would be part of the force?
The dog will be in our hands sometime in September, I think a week or so before the academy starts,
Yeah.
to acclimate him as a puppy
Yeah.
to the handler. And they spend a little quality time bonding. And then they're off, I think the second, I say by the 10th to the 10th and the 15th, the second Monday of September, whatever that
Okay.
date is, they'll be heading down together every day to Boston for 12 weeks
Okay.
in that new car that we got them.
All right.
And then again, it's about a 12-week program with that. So K9, he or she would be a member of the department starting right at the beginning of September. They'll be sworn in as well. We'll have a little ceremony for him or her.
They already have the K9 picked out?
We do not. We wait. There's a wait. Again, I'm not an expert in the process of K9 training, but they do a selection process. They take the disposition of the puppy along with the disposition of the handler, and they match them up to make sure
Okay.
personalities meet. They do several testing besides just breeding the dog. They do floor testing to see if the dog can handle certain surfaces. They do shots fired over the dog's head as well to see if the dog is skittish to the shot. So there's a process, because they may say, "Hey, here's your puppy," and then a week or so later, "Sorry, your puppy washed out."
Yeah, it's a little different than going to the pound.
Right, just picking something. So there's a specific breed and a specific type of breeders that they go through the Boston Police K9, as well as Maine State Police, New Hampshire State Police, and Vermont State Police. They all go to a specific group of breeders that they know have exceptional service and bloodlines of the canines.
Do you know what the breed's going to be yet?
We do not. Again, that's part of the
Red
disposition
nose.
of. Typically, it's a Shepherd or a Malinois.
Right.
And it again depends on the two personalities
Yeah.
agreeing to play with one another. So we're very excited about it. We'll be launching some fundraisers very soon. We're just going to be working with Tom and Jacoby about working on finances and bank accounts, so where that money will go. We'll set up a Venmo account. We'll set up a Venmo and a QR code to link it all together for those who want to make donations to the program. And we'll continue to do that. We'll have different phases. We'll have an initial phase. And then once a dog is introduced, once a dog is named, then we'll do some other fundraisers later on the line, perhaps selling police patches with the image of the canine on it and collectibles. There's also challenge coins and poker chips that they do. We're following along with the many other departments in the region that are doing things like this to raise money for the funds. And as you know, as I spoke to you folks last year, we received a substantial grant from the Stanton Foundation out of Massachusetts. They service throughout the country, but mostly in New England. We got a substantial amount of money from them. We anticipate some other larger donations coming in. They've been verbally been told, no number's been given, but several businesses have already said that they'll be stepping up to make substantial donations to the program.
Nice.
So we're really excited with that. We just had a meeting about it the other day, and we continue to meet every few weeks on it as we get closer. Some of the equipment over the past year, we continue to repair some things that we have currently at the police station, including the radio system. We've been working on that. As you know, I've been before you folks before to talk about some programs and process that we need to go through. And we've also been repairing our cruisers, the ones that we continue to work with, and line cards that are still great to keep with us. We have regular maintenance, scheduled maintenance with that. We also do any other repairs that come up with the vehicles. You know, same thing with the camera system. We have the police department. We maintain that and repair it, and we'll be working with our budget. We've already set our internal budget meetings to work on putting some money aside to do some repairs with our camera system. So some of the cameras are beyond repair. They actually need replacement. We'll be working that into our budget this year. Over the past year, we replaced several things. I spoke about the speed board that we received, which is, I think was a 75% match from the state of New Hampshire to buy a new speed board. You've seen it out on probably Sweet Hill Road in Old County. Mm-hmm. It's currently back at the police station, getting some downloading and some maintenance done on it. And the sergeant who oversees that program is out on paternity leave. He's returning shortly, and he'll redeploy that, and he'll be training a second or third officer. We'll be able to do that when there's ever a need. Patrol radar, same thing. We've received two grants, a grant for two radar units that go into our marked units. Actually, one is at the upfitter today, getting its new grant-funded radar unit going in, so it's the greatest and latest technology for that one. Another one will go out either later this week or next week. And again, that was a 75% match on that. It's a great reward from the state. We've been working with the town in systems engineering, replacing some of the computers throughout the department and workstations. That's always ongoing. An unexpected expense we had this current budget year is a fingerprint machine, has a card printer, and it's very specific. You can't just buy a generic one off the shelf. You have to buy one that's spec'd out by the manufacturer. They gave us a loaner and then eventually bought a new one. I don't have that figure, but it was approximately $4,000 for that printer. Money that we did not expect to spend. But again, it's not just a run-of-the-mill printer. It has to be able to meet high-quality print designations and definitions to be acceptable print cards that would be acceptable to the FBI, state police, and employers. I will say that we use our fingerprint machine a lot, not necessarily for those we arrest. We do a lot of residents that we fingerprint, and we do a lot of employees, such as the rec department, kids that work all summer long, who Jen sends over to us. We've been an onslaught of them right now because that's the time of year. We use our fingerprint machine a lot, and but it's a great service. It's a great program, but we again need the printer so we'll be able to present those cards for the requesters. And as a side note, as you know, we recently raised our fees for fingerprinting because we were way behind. We were probably a decade behind in the fees that we were charging, and we were getting residents from other communities and other states coming up here because the word was out that we were the cheapest. And again, we need that money to keep up the upkeep and the maintenance of the machine. We also, as you see, the printer that costs us $4,000 to replace. So we need to keep feasible numbers to keep that system up and running. In this past year, we replaced 2 vehicles. The K9 vehicle, which I said today is at the outfitters, and my vehicle, which we talked about in my vehicle, my Dodge Charger, went to detectives. And that detective vehicle that they had, may it rest in peace, went off to the auction and brought in some money for the town. So it went into the general fund. That thing was needed a lot of repairs. It was in the shop more than it was on the road. So that's been replaced. And we're again cycling through what we can cycle through with cruisers. Excuse me. And those that are replaced need to be replaced that are unsafe for the officers to drive in. We take those off the road and eventually try to get those off to auction to get some little bit of residual value left to them. But again, it's beyond our fixing because it would just, our repairs would cost the value of the vehicle. For community outreach, we've been doing a lot of community outreach, and we have a lot of community outreach planned for this summer. I think we have 2 touch-a trucks coming up in the same week. We've been doing touch-a trucks at the library every year. That one is coming up soon. The YMCA, we're doing one over there as well. And we're doing one with the rec department. We've joined with them for National Night Out, I believe it's August 5th. They're coordinating some stuff here in town. And our SRO, Eric McDonald, now that the school's year ends this week, he has already reached out to other local law enforcement agencies such as New Hampshire State Police and Rockingham County Sheriff's Department, some others, to see if they could send some assets and some folks down to be present as well at the rec department National Night Out program we're doing. We've done the student ride-along. The public school raffles off a ride-along that we've done for the past, I think it was our 3rd year we did this year. It's very well received, and the kids have a lot of fun. As you can see in the bottom, if you can't see in the bottom right corner, is last year's student who won. The SRO will be doing field trips this summer with the recreation department, just like Callie did when she was here in the past. We continue to be involved with Old Home Day, and we're looking forward to arresting some local folks. Fundraising charity, that's a good spirit. Elder Affairs, we're very involved with the Elder Affairs group and the Senior Center. If you've seen on our Facebook page, we've been serving tea at the spring tea. We've been involved with the Easter gathering, the holiday parties, and several other things. I think we just got an invitation this week they want to host their own Coffee with a Cop coming up. That's June 22nd from 10 to 11. That just came in today. We'll be partnering with them for an hour, visiting the seniors, particularly those who can't get out to our usual one that we host in October, our National Coffee with a Cop Day. So we'll be having a little session over there, serving them coffee, engage in some conversation, and do a little Q&A session. I will say that some of our officers may have gotten some social date invitations. But they seem to really love us over there. We have a good time. We just did the spring tea. They moved the location last year. I think it was at the library. this year. They had the church across the street, and that was a good time. That was just a highlight of some of the things that wouldn't all fit on the slide. For training, we continue to do ongoing medical training for all police department personnel, as well as civilian personnel, including CPR, AED, and Narcan. We continue to do firearms training. We should be, I think we're doing ours later next month at Town and Range. We do at least once, if not twice a year. So our spring quals have now moved to summer qualifications for us. As you heard me say earlier, Lieutenant Diorio attended the FBI Leader Program. So did sergeants. All our sergeants have attended it, some at different levels. It's a three class program. Each one's a week long. Myself, prior to coming here, finished the 3-week program. Captain Mazza finished the program. Lieutenant Diorio has finished the program. I believe Sergeant Coakley as well. And the two new sergeants, Sergeant Mastrotolo and Sergeant DeHulo, I believe both have one class out of the 3 classes in. That's a great program. We really get a lot of good feedback from the sergeants who go there. They learn about leadership and leading the current generations of police officers in our future and help mold our future leaders. The communications department have ongoing training as well in dispatch. That's regularly going on. One of our dispatchers recently went through a training program to make them a certified trainer so they can train other dispatchers in their job. Police department personnel will continue updating, going on with NIMS and ICS training, which is Incident Command School, Incident Command Systems, and National Incident Management Systems. That is a national framework structure for how to manage a local, regional, statewide, or national disaster. You folks are probably familiar with that after 9/11. K-9 program, Sergeant DeHulo went down to Rhode Island for a day-long training for current trends in K-9. And again, he'll be going in September for the 12-week academy. Officers attended officer wellness training. We brought in the Haverhill Police Department's health and wellness officer. She came in for a 4-hour block, and it was a mandatory training for all our police officers to go to talk about stresses, officer wellness, suicide amongst law enforcement, and some other things. It was a great program. The instructor is very well qualified. She teaches at IACP, FBI, locally, and some others. She's available to us anytime we need for some help. She gave out her personal cell phone number to all the officers. If they encounter an incident that they want to talk about, she'll give them an initial consultation if need be. Officers attended juvenile justice training. Officer McDonald recently attended the SRO training. He's now a certified SRO in the state of New Hampshire. And officers also part of the statewide protocol have undergone mental health resilience training to help them deal with people they encounter day-to-day on calls, and a little bit of at home as well. So that's some of the training. Again, there's a lot more than that, but that's some highlighted, some of the more important and noteworthy training our officers have gone through. Some grant programs, and interrupt me if you have any questions anytime. Some grant programs I mentioned a little bit earlier. We continue to receive state funding for mobile computing. We have our laptops, if you will, or PCs in our cars, which is now hooked up to e-ticketing. Officers are able to, instead of carrying ticket books, well, they do for backup in case the system doesn't work. But we're able to do all our ticketing now through our mobile computing. You just scan the back of your driver's license as a barcode. The front of your registration has a barcode. Scan that stuff in, it uploads into the computer. It takes the officer's eyes back on the car stop and less staring at a computer. It backfills all the information, so now it goes right into our CAD and RMS system. And in turn, on the other side, unfortunately, it also fills out the ticket the officer is going to be issuing the motoring public that they issue the tickets through. And it's a time saver. It's better accuracy. It uploads right into our system, so then in turn we can then upload it into the statewide system, and it's great and for us and helps reduce errors. I mentioned earlier about the radar units that we've purchased and the speed board we purchased through grant funding. Lieutenant Diorio has been assigned to look into grants. There's currently a COPS grant out there to help us fill positions, and he's looking into that right now as well as a few other grants. And of course, we have the Stanton grant, which is ongoing and it continuously rolls with the K-9 program. And those are just some of the grants we have and been working with. Next up is the accreditation process. We'll continue to work on a weekly basis, working towards a New Hampshire accreditation through the New Hampshire Accreditation Commission. Captain Mazza leads that initiative. He works very close with Joyce Brody, my executive admin assistant. The two of them meet every Friday to talk about accreditation and getting the policies and procedures all in line to the standards. And they meet every Friday, and we tend to meet every other Wednesday, the three of us. And Lieutenant Diori has been pulled into that group as well. We've received some grant funding for that as well through the State Accreditation Commission to help fill some of the costs on that. And as we mentioned last time, we have the Power DMS software we continue to use to help manage our policies, procedures, and training on all those. And we've been doing our ongoing assessment within the PD to prepare for when the assessors come in from outside to look at us, to score us, rate us, and evaluate us. So we've made some corrections, we've made some improvements, including signage, safety issues, locking mechanisms, and things in place, and making sure that we have protocols to cover restricted areas. So that's a lot that I've told you, and we continue to work, and it's really just an overview. There's a lot of information, things that we've been working on for the past year and continue to work on, continue to work forward on. But again, none of this is done by one person. As you heard in my swearing in, you'll continue to hear that no one succeeds alone. To get all this done, we need help from various people. We need help from the officers that work with us, dispatchers that work with us, civilian personnel that work with us. We need the support from you folks as the Board of Selectmen and the public that's home watching us right now, voting on our budgets and voting on initiatives that we have going on. Local businesses as well, as businesses like folks like Shelley's Kitchen, who are often donating food to our officers and our dispatchers to help them along, and sometimes providing some nourishment for us, and folks that we work with within the town. The fire department, we respond to calls on a regular basis, as you know. With the fire department, both the fire side, the EMS side, and the new ALS side, we work great with them on the field, and we're working on some upcoming training that we're going to do together, perhaps a drill or a tabletop exercise. So we're great that we're joined. We visit each other on a regular basis, walking side to side, and when there's not an emergency, and then together out on the streets when there is.
No, it's nice to see you working well with the fire department. I mean, you're right there in the building, and a lot of things are hand in hand. It's good to see. It hasn't always been that way, so it's good to see.
We have changed the access and mechanisms for us to visit each other side to side in the areas that are not restricted. They have restricted areas such as their bedroom, and we have restricted areas such as evidence, armory, and records and such. So, but there are other common areas that our FOBs work at each other's doors to go over and visit, and we exchange information, and they often invite us over there to use their kitchen facilities whenever needed, and we sometimes we come out back.
No, and the ongoing training is nice too, because things change so quick now.
Yes.
They change fast.
So it takes a team and it takes a village to get all this stuff done, and as from here and on the outside. So that's my presentation for you folks, and I'm here for any questions you may have.
Questions, John? Liz?
You said you get state funding for a lot of the programs that you have.
Some of them, yes.
Some of them for like the ticketing and stuff. Do you foresee that that's gonna disappear or stay the same with all the budgeting that's going on with the state?
Yeah, so we just in the process of receiving more federal, more local state funding for more radar units, because again, the technology changes, they get worn out, they get sun bleached when sitting up in a dashboard after a while, and it's wear and tear like anything else. So we're currently slated for 2 more patrol radars, which are mounted into police cars. And it's a requirement by the state that they're mounted and installed. As part of the grant. They can't just sit there. We're also slated for a handheld LiDAR unit, which is laser technology, and that is not mounted in a car. That is handheld. It's usually operated by a team of 2 officers, and we could probably do a demonstration later on when we get that unit, when the officers are trained on that. We currently do not need any onboard computing, and so we're not applying for any grants for that right now. And same thing with the e-ticketing software. Right now, we're up to speed. We have all the equipment. We have the barcode readers, the thermal printers, and the paper. And as needed, we will reapply for some of those grants.
Okay, and then you said that we were the best deal in town for the fingerprinting.
Yeah.
How much is it now versus in past?
So if Greg remembers, I don't have that
I
figures.
don't
I
know.
think I'm going to guess we were either 450 or 750, and we're at 20.
Okay,
And we have to buy the blank cards. If the state or federal government no longer supplies the fingerprint cards,
Right.
we have to buy those from a private vendor. The printer we had to buy again for $4,000, and then the spray to clean the screen, the spray to prep the fingers. All that comes at a cost, and it's not cheap because they know it's a selective item that you need, so they get you and they hold so all that stuff takes money to run that system, so hopefully that keeps a little bit in mind. With the other agencies, we did do a rate survey, and I believe I submitted back when you folks voted on that. We gave you a rate survey with the local communities around us are charging, and we were way below, and that's the word was out to come here.
how many sets of fingerprints do you do annually?
I do have those numbers, but not with me.
It's okay.
But I will say that on weekly, particularly right now with the rec department, we're probably doing about a dozen sets of fingerprints a week. And you got to remember now, that's either taking a detective out of work writing up a case or an officer off the street to come. And although it's electronic and it's quicker than the rolling and all that stuff, it's still probably a good 20-minute process because there's an intake sheet that's done by hand. Then there's the electronic stuff and then submitting it, making sure it's accepted before we let them walk away, and then printing out the cards for them. So it is much quicker than the old school of rolling in ink, and it's less messy. But it is taking an officer or detective 20 minutes to a half hour to do that, depending on the system.
Okay. I know I used to have to have my fingerprints done at the SAU.
Yeah.
For teaching, so yeah.
So we have a variety of people. Again, we have people that come from out of town and over the state border. So which are changing some things. And again, don't want to be friendly and helpful, but we also need to be smart. Can't be behind the times. We need to be able to recoup the expenses, the cost to operate that system. We have a yearly maintenance program for that computer system to run. We have, again, a printer, the cards, the sprays, and the intake sheets.
Jay?
Nope, nothing from me.
I know you showed everything for like last year and kind of going through a little bit. Is there anything major you anticipate for the next year?
Major, we've talked about the radio system before, but we'll continue to work on some funding sources for that. So we'll put that aside for now. Probably one of the more costly things I see coming down the line will probably be the camera system because it's becoming antiquated. And we're now mixing and matching equipment. One company's server / PC versus somebody else's cameras. And then who put this in years ago, and who wants to maintain it? And somebody else says, that's not our server. We don't even sell that brand. We don't even recommend that brand. We don't want to touch it. So, and there's areas in the police department where the cameras need to be installed. I won't highlight those now for security reasons, but there are definitely at least 3 critical areas that need cameras put in that were never had cameras for the police side. And I, again, would also give away any hand to anybody in the fire department that's looking to add some more cameras as well. I know there is separate department, a separate budget, but we operate and we run the camera system on the police side. And our dispatch center monitors that. We hold the server, we hold the monitors. And so again, on our side, we're going to need 3 new additional cameras, at least maybe 4, and 2 to 3 replaced, and then signing a maintenance contract with somebody to maintain a camera system.
Is that something there's grants out there for, or?
There are sometimes our Homeland Security grants, but as you know, federal grants are on hold right now.
It's getting tight.
So we're going to see what we can do to find a vendor that's willing to work with the different systems.
Okay, perfect. Everyone good? Thank you, Chief.
All right, thank you for having me.
Appreciate the update.
Thank you for continued support for the police department, our officers and dispatchers and everyone who works for us. I know they really appreciate it, and enjoy working there.
Thank you, Chief. That was a
Thank you,
great
Chief.
update.
All right, have a great
Thank you.
night.
All right. Next, we have to review the draft of the RFP for solid waste and recycling collection. Hey, thanks for hanging in.
No place I'd rather be on a Monday night.
Oh, exactly. It's not like the sun's out finally. It's not like the sun's out finally or anything.
Good evening. A few weeks back, I provided, the board tasked me with the job of providing a draft RFP for the next round of trash contracts. Our current one expires at the end of 2026, so now's the time to start working on it. I did provide a draft copy to everybody via email a couple of weeks ago. I was also given a list of recommendations from the TREC that were in there that can tell you where and how I address these in the RFP, if you want me to go through that with you. There's yellow throughout the draft, which are dates that need to be decided. So I've highlighted them to make them a little easier to find. And I'm also here to answer any questions you might have. But to quickly go through the recommendations from the TRAC. Community engagement. I addressed this in the portion that on page 5, which is, starts on page 4, bottom of 4, scope of work. By putting something in here that they would potentially donate dumpsters to particular town events such as Old Home Day. This is more or less to let them know that this is something we'd potentially be looking at in a final contract, to let them know that we would be interested in this, give them something to negotiate with us with on that. Same thing with the residential complaints. The recommendation for the residential complaints was to have a number for residents to call. Based on my experience working with the residents in the trash and also speaking with Beth, it's not the best idea to have them handle them, because frequently when we call them, because well, with the current contract at least, and a lot of other companies are going to be the same. They work in both New Hampshire and Mass, and the requirements are different. And the person that answers that phone doesn't have our individual contract in front of them to know what our individual provisions are per our contract. We know them inside and out. So we're a better advocate for them. Plus, it also allows us the opportunity to track things in the community that are happening, with the potential that if we see something systematic, it'll be easier to address than if it gets buried on somebody's desk at the vendor.
Right.
All right,
So-
that's good.
Notice, because then you get to see, like, if there's a
Right.
consistent problem, you know
Right.
what it is. If people are calling in, we have
Right.
no idea.
Right, and to have them call a big company that has multiple contracts over multiple communities, they really will get a runaround, they'll get frustrated. If we can be the direct people that contact with the vendor, we can problem solve much quicker than the resident can.
Yeah, just the way that it was relayed, that it was a big burden to town resources, and that maybe giving it back to, but that's fine with me. If we want to keep it, and it's not a
I think it's a lesser burden
burden
to deal
on
with something quickly
resources.
that we have experience with than it is to wait until a resident is so frustrated by the time they're calling us, the hair's on fire.
Yeah.
And we're trying to calm them down as well as help them. We have to calm them down before we can help them.
And we'd probably have a liaison that we'd be dealing with, right, usually,
Yes,
as opposed to calling an 800 number.
correct. Yeah, we have more direct contact than a resident would have the opportunity to have.
Well, I hope you train your replacements well.
Excuse me?
Deal with that. I hope you train your replacements well to deal with that one.
You know? Route organization, I think that is something that is best negotiated as part of a contract as opposed to putting something specific in here. The next 4 items, bulk pickup options, cart replacement, and cardboard recycling. The way I prepared the RFP this time was more of an à la carte fashion as opposed to this is our basic and then a couple of little ones. The basic was just curbside municipal waste collection. Because I think we're going to get a little sticker shock when we see these bids come in this time.
From what I'm hearing, I would agree.
So, especially because our previous contract was so long ago, it was a 5-year contract, and it was a really good rate at the time. So the way I approached this was to have a base trash weekly curbside pickup. Then I put in a bunch of alt ads to this: a weekly curbside recycling, a bi-weekly curbside recycling, their suggestions for bulk pickup, whether it be a system similar to what we have now, where you can put one item out a week, or if it's something that they do a biannual or a once a year situation. I remember when I first moved to town, it was a biannual,
Right.
2 times a year on 2 specific weekends. The
Yes.
pickers went crazy.
So they'd be lining up the streets coming
Right.
down.
Right. And then options to, if there could be a transfer station opportunity for residents. 5 cardboard dumpsters. We have 4 now. I upped it to 5 because I think we could easily use another one over there. They're frequently full and a better schedule to be emptying them. Something in the contract that they have to empty them once a week,
Yeah,
on a specific day.
And cardboard's not going away. Everybody gets deliveries at home.
Correct.
I see UPS and
Correct.
Prime and run the street all day long.
Other options as an alt ad for potential electronics and white goods collection. Currently, we refer them to Republic. They set up a date and pay Republic directly. I think that, what options can a new vendor possibly offer us for that? Repair and replacement of the trash, recycling, and carts. This one was a little troublesome for me to kind of come up with because we still have about 150 each of recycling and regular carts. And all the residents have them already. We haven't finished paying for them yet, so I'm not sure how that would work for somebody else to take that over. So I put it in there so that if they had a proposal, great. If not, it's something you look at when the negotiations come up for the contract to whoever the vendor is awarded to. So I'm here to answer questions. I'm here to hopefully get some dates for the board to fill in the blanks here, or if you want to talk about it and get back to me with that as well, to keep this moving forward.
Yeah, I know we can't drag our feet on it. Because next
No,
thing you know, it will be.
It would be nice to have this awarded by the end of the year. That would be optimal.
Because I know that was the one problem we ran into last time, if they had to order a new truck.
The
was a
problem
lead
we ran
time.
into last time is because it was such a short turnaround. They didn't have the equipment. They didn't have the time to order the equipment. But if Plasto was willing to buy them a new truck, they would have happily taken our trash away for us.
Yeah.
And that contract ended up being more than double. That there were only 2 bids that were submitted.
Right.
The other good thing about doing it early enough and doing a mandatory pre-proposal meeting is you get to see who the players in the game are. They get to see who the players of the game are, which makes them sharpen their pencils because they have a good idea what the others are charging.
Right now, it's better to be proactive. Because I remember
Absolutely.
last time I was new to the board and it was like,
Yeah.
it was all at once and we had to make
No,
decisions
this
fast.
is operating well within a good time frame for it. I used the last RFP as my template for this and made improvements based on my experience dealing with the last contract and with the vendor along the way here. Talked to Beth about some of the things, asked her to take a look at it before I presented it to the board. So I think it's in pretty good shape.
Do you have recommendations on when you want the timelines?
No.
Only question I had was in section 9.3.
What page are we on?
I have no idea what page that's on. 1 sec.
Sorry, you said 9.3?
Page 12.
Yes. Okay.
It's equipment failure. So like if truck breaks down, maybe this is something I'm just asking the question, but is this something we're gonna negotiate with them? But if a truck breaks down and they start spewing hydraulic fluid all over the place, who cleans that up? Because we have to deal with, MS4 water.
Our current contract contract says they are responsible for it.
Okay, does it say it anywhere in here?
This-
Maybe it's in a different
That would be
spot.
part of the contract
Okay,
negotiations,
contract, okay.
right?
All right, that was really my only question. And the other thing about the carts is, if it breaks, we wouldn't ask them to fix it. We'd ask them to replace it with one of their
Well,
carts. right?
currently what we're doing is Danny will swap out the cart and then he'll keep the parts of the cart that he picks up that are salvageable. So we've,
Yeah, next
swapped
one.
them off. A handle breaks on one, a wheel breaks on the other.
Yep.
Now so
And I think
that's the advantage of us keeping the carts too.
And I think the thought of having them replace the carts is as we dwindle down, I've always wondered how many we have hanging
Yeah.
around.
I did check with Dan because I knew you'd ask me.
Yeah.
So he says it's about 150 left of each, plus or minus.
So that gives us a little bit of time because,
Mhm.
but eventually are we going to replace the carts? We're going to have to do that again.
Right.
We're going to have to go into a 5-year,
But
2,000 cart
whether we're paying
replacement.
for the carts or
So-
whether the vendor's paying for the carts, we're going to get the bill for the carts.
And then you
That's
gotta-
fine.
Yeah.
But who's going to manage that? Is it going to be us or is it going to be?
And again,
The
that's
vendor.
something that I
The
put as an
thought
alt to
process
add.
is to take it off of the town and hand it over to the vendor.
I put that as an alt add so that the decision could be made at the time
Right.
of the award, which way you wanted to go, based on how much of the cost that was going to be. It's not been a horribly difficult
Yeah.
system to manage, and we've been able to do it in a very timely basis because it is being done in-house. I don't know how timelines would be affected being able to provide a replacement if it's handed off to a vendor.
Right.
So there's a lot of things to consider with that.
Liz?
I'm good. This is a lot.
John?
It was a
How
lot.
how expeditiously do we have to get the timelines to you?
Because that's the thing, the timelines are probably the big thing, because we want to get this out.
Do you want to have, let me ask this. When does this board want to see the proposal submitted by? And I will work backwards from that. And send you the dates.
If we want to try, do we want to try to award it by the first of the year?
I think that would be a great idea because then we can work with them with what's in the contract and what do we need to.
So if you want to do it by the first of the year,
I would suggest that you have all the bids received by December 1st.
right, that's
week of first
that's
week in
why I'm
December.
going, trying to go
Right,
for
so
there.
maybe,
The other thing we got to consider though is, the last time we went through this, we had to put a warrant article out. So do we have to do that again? Are we going to conditionally accept this?
We didn't put
Bid.
a warrant article out.
This is for 2027. We're going to be doing the 2026 budget.
Yeah.
So
And was it a warrant article? I thought that was a part of the operating budget.
No, when we went into the contract with the last trash thing, there was a warrant article.
Did we? I don't remember.
because it was a 5-year agreement.
I'm just asking, we don't necessarily have to do that, but if we want to be transparent,
But we're going to have plenty of time because if it's due around, we've got a full year out.
Exactly.
So,
To negotiate the contract and do whatever you need to do budgetary wise.
correct. And I would go back to November 1st because,
Just in case things happen, right?
well, between Thanksgiving and Christmas, it is,
Yeah.
it's a zoo.
And we got
And
budget season right in
it's
there,
budget
so-
season and the like, and I would give us, more time than,
No, more time is better than less time.
Yeah.
Okay, so you'd like to see the proposal submitted by November 1st, whatever that Thursday of that week would be, or Monday or
Right,
whatever.
Exactly.
what do you recommend? Because for this, like what the timeline that you guys want to,
If you have all the final proposals in hand for your review by November 1st, that's great.
Okay.
I would work backwards from that with the other milestones that need to. Now, does the board want to have a mandatory pre-proposal meeting or no? It's not a requirement to do it. Like I said, the advantages of it is everybody sees who the other players are. It gives them the opportunity to kind of ask some preliminary questions.
I think it's a good idea. That way there, if there's questions, we're getting them out right then and there
Yep.
while we're talking to them.
So we can have that as a separate meeting all of its own, or you can do it as, maybe a half an hour before your Board of Selectmen meeting.
Yeah.
Okay, because I'll work backwards with timelines from that for what
Yeah.
usual time spans are for these kind of applications. And I can either just fly with it, or I'll have it ready for your next meeting,
Yeah, because,
and then you can make a decision on it for
because I
that.
like having the meeting, because paper doesn't always give everything.
And again, it does, I have found it very helpful for them to see who they're up against for sharpening their pencils. We, just to update the board, we recently had the mandatory pre-proposal meeting for the solar array, and we had 5 vendors show up. I thought that was an excellent showing for the project, so,
Yeah.
and those proposals are due soon.
Good.
November 3rd is a Monday. That might be a good day.
November 3rd?
Yeah, is a Monday.
Thank you. So that would be for the final proposals, but everything else would flow backwards from there
Yes.
in the timeline. Thank you, Beth.
You're welcome.
Any other questions about the terms anything you wanted added?
No, I thought it looked good, but you said this is basically what we had last time, right?
And again, with some tweaks based on issues that we had along the way that
Yep.
we were like,
Change the light.
um,
I'm good.
Good, Jim?
Thank you, Dee.
Super.
Super, thank you, Dee, I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Thanks, Dee.
I want to talk to you about an alt ad on the recycling side, because I've noticed that we're requiring, one of the big things that I remember when we did it before was the trash disposal companies were very hesitant to bear all of the liability and the uncertainty of the recycling market.
right, that was a contract negotiation that we had to work with.
But in this, it says that they bear all responsibility for recycling.
Where are we?
period.
I'm sorry.
I was trying to find it again and I can't. But just put it on your list. We'll talk about it tomorrow.
Okay.
Because I do remember that being a big hangup with a couple of the companies before. And that the old JRM was,
Recycling is a whole nother deal now. There was big time pricing difference between our curbside pickup for municipal waste and curbside for recycling. There was a big thing, it was a big savings. The cost savings are not there so much anymore for the recyclables, unfortunately.
well, we're paying $20 or $25 a ton. I know another town that's paying $150 a ton to have it
Recycling.
removed.
Yeah, it's
So.
changed significantly is what I have heard. So,
Like everything else.
of course. All set?
All right, thank you, Dee, I appreciate it.
Excellent.
All right. Next up, we need to approve the consent agenda. On the consent agenda, we had accounts payable manifest for the week of June 12th and 19th of 2025. The BOS draft minutes of June 2nd, 2025. There's a warrant for unlicensed dogs. There was a town green use form. And there were 3 2024 abatement requests. Someone wants to make a motion so we can approve it?
I'll make a motion to approve the consent agenda for today's meeting of June 16th, 2025.
Second by Jay. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 So it's 400. Next up. Here you go, Greg. Town manager's report.
Well, it's been a little
What do you
while.
think I was gonna forget?
It's been a little while, but it will still sound like the broken record. So, been busy over the last month or so since the last time that I didn't attend the last meeting, but we're water project wise, I've been in contact with the engineers. We finally have the easements that have been finalized and the like, so we're getting to that point of setting a construction schedule fairly soon. Again, the construction company that this will be awarded to likes to fire on all cylinders, come in with a huge crew, get it done, and in and out, so to speak, in a very short period of time. Been extremely busy with personnel and just the day-to-day operations. We have gotten, the ALS program, is up and running now, fairly smoothly, I would say. With going into the summertime, as you've heard from at least one or two department heads, between recreation, highway, police, fire, all departments are really, cranking. And there's a lot of moving parts going on. And we have Old Home Day this weekend, so, finalizing and helping make sure that everything is ready to go. And we have the new assessors, so I've been working with IT extensively to make sure that they have the access that they need, so that they've been coming in one day a week at a minimum to be able to, one, do the cyclical update, but also the day-to-day operations and the like. They were instrumental in us getting the property tax bills out, by the middle of May with a July 1, deadline. So there's a lot of moving parts that we're rolling along with. So, and if you haven't noticed, but Westville Road has been paved. Danny did that last week, so the islands are in, the permanent final islands, the way they're going to be. So he's got some, crosswalk painting, and wants to paint the islands so that they're more visible. But I think everything looks great over there, and
It'll be a lot neater than the barrels.
it'll be a lot better than the barrels. That's correct. So, questions, comments?
Anybody have anything? Thank you, Greg.
I just
Okay.
had a question. I know we've been kicking around the composting stuff, and where do we land with that? I know,
Put it on the back burner until September.
okay.
I think with school vacation here, people's vacation schedules, lack of, any solid scheduling, we just kind of have put it on the back burner to revisit it, say September 1 when school starts back up, to see if it's something that we, still want to continue to roll out.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you. Selectmen's reports. John?
Okay, well, I had my first conservation committee meeting and got to meet the crew. We went over landlocked town-owned land and some other venues. We do have a beaver issue in our town forest, and I've spoken with Brent Ebner. He assured me it's all on the Plastow land, and since that's the case, being a selectman, I can sign for a new nuisance permit and get a couple of trappers in there so that they can trap them out. Once we get them trapped out, then we have to look at the laws of breaking dams and how much mechanical usage we can do and so forth. So that's falling on the Concom committee. I've been at quite a few old home day committees in the last couple of weeks.
It's been busy with them.
Everything's going great. We will be cleaning out the cells, the final cleaning for our fundraiser. And looks like we're going to have great weather. It just all around looks like it's going to be a great day.
Keep the fingers crossed.
You can always use volunteers. That's a mandatory statement. Let's see.
And actually, speaking of volunteers, there's online, right? I believe there was something put out there so you can go out there.
Yeah, if you check the Facebook
And
page,
just pick a slot.
Yeah, you can sign up for a half an hour. You can sign up for 2 hours. You can sign your kid up to help. Do whatever you can.
Sign your spouse, whatever.
Energy didn't have a meeting on the 4th of last month, and I have a historical meeting. No, that got canceled for tomorrow too. So that brings me up to what I've got going on. The only thing that we need to bring up tonight is that the 50C vendors, 501c vendors for the Old Home Day, we've donated those in the past.
So and they're for in town, right?
That's for in-town 501Cs. That covers the Boy Scouts, it covers the Lions for their food vendor. I don't know that the church has to do anything because they have an ice cream thing in their facility.
That's their own
right?
thing, nothing to do with us.
Right. So I just need make a motion that we waive the fees for the couple of 501Cs that are located in town and are doing sites at the Old Home Day. We've done it every year since.
I'll make that motion.
Okay.
Is it the fee for the food service license?
Food service.
Service, yeah.
Second.
And I think really it's just the Boy Scouts and the Lions. I think those are the
I
only
think that's
two.
it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So that's me.
All right, Liz?
No energy meeting until August. Planning board is Wednesday night. I attended the graduation, and I think that's it for me. In Historical Society, I'll start to jump on once they start again. I was taking a class before.
Thank you. Jay?
You're welcome.
Let's see. So there was Elder Affairs Tea. I wasn't able to attend that, but I heard it was very well received. Lots of area seniors enjoyed their time. The police and fire showed up. I think fire did some dishes to help out. So it was a overall great community event. I did attend the budget meeting. They did appoint the open seat to Larry Gladhill. There was a discussion and a motion about adding alternates, but there is no provision for that for a municipal budget committee. So I think that's an issue that that's been resolved. And I also attended the graduation. I will like to note we were the only two selectmen there from
Selectmen
all
there.
4 towns. So Plastow was
We
there.
show up every year.
We show up. So that's it.
Did you finally get your diploma?
No. It's in the file cabinet somewhere.
Jeez. Well, one of these years.
One of these years.
And I will say Kelly Ayotte was at the graduation, and
Oh,
she
yes.
encouraged students to continue their higher education in the state and still live in the state.
Nice, all right. But I'd say also attended many Old Home Day meetings. We've had that going on. That event, it's hard to believe it's this week. It seems like all the planning goes on for so long, and it's, you're like, oh, we got a month, we got 2 months. No, we're down to what, 5 days? Because it actually starts, Friday night. They start with the candy bar bingo. So as John mentioned before, volunteers, please go out there, and if you can donate an hour, half hour, whatever it is, it does look like it's going to be a nice day right now. Let's hope the forecast holds out. We do. We do have there is a planning board meeting Wednesday night. And tomorrow, I'm not sure, hopefully some of us can join. I'm going to award out the Boston Post Cane. It's going to be awarded tomorrow to Larry Cody. He's 97, I
Holy
believe.
smokes.
And from what I read about him, he was called the last shoemaker in Haverhill. So that'll be interesting handing that off tomorrow. That's what I have for my report. For events coming up, there is a BD site walk scheduled for this Thursday, June 19th at 3 p.m. So we can attend that. The summer concerts on the town green will start next Wednesday, June 25th, and that'll run through August 13th from 6 to 8 o'clock at night when those run. Summer rec program will start Monday, June 23rd, and as a reminder, when summer rec is going on out at Park is closed, so you won't be able to use it. So if you need the jungle gym or whatever they have usually, I guess Paul is closed now. You should probably go over there. You use one over at Ingles Terrace. right? So just be aware of that. And I think summer rec goes to about 4 in the afternoon or 5, somewhere around there, just so you can plan. And once again, Old Home Day, it's this Saturday. I know it starts off, the road race starts off at 9 o'clock in the morning. And shortly after that, you'll have 9:30, 9:45. Rumor is there'll be some hooligans walking around the town green that'll get arrested. And, so it's a full day of activities. They got the baby contest, as always, the beard, or this year though, it's mullet too, I think, and
I
goatee.
think it got reduced back to just a beard contest.
Oh, did it? Oh,
I believe
was
so.
it? So, and I know there's a good prize award for that one too.
Yes,
It's like,
there
what,
is.
$500, I believe. And then obviously the parade, and we'll have everything here. The rock climbing wall will be back, the racetrack will be back, plus the games for the kids. All kinds of activities, vendors and everything else in the town green. The parade will start at 2 o'clock, so everybody be aware of some of the roads that are gonna be shut down, because they'll be shut down from East and West Pine Street, all the way past Town Hall. That'll probably start shutting down, probably, I'm gonna say about 1:30 somewhere.
1:30, they usually cut that.
Right, and also the road race too at 9 o'clock, there'll be a partial shutdown there too for the runners. And I know in front of Town Hall, that'll be shut down all day as well.
Right.
So just so everyone is aware of that. So I think that about covers everything. Anybody have anything they wanted to bring up?
We should mention that there will be no trash collection on June 19th, for Juneteenth. So it will be delayed from that day on.
Okay, so anybody, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, they're good. Thursday goes to Friday, Friday goes to Saturday. All right, perfect. That's one of those holidays you don't think about.
I
Right.
believe Alan asked us to mention about bringing personal pets.
Yes, that's the other thing. There are no animals, dogs, pets allowed on the town green during Old Home Day. So we have that. Thank you for reminding me of that one. I know everybody likes their pets, but there's a lot of people around. Some people just don't like pets. All right. Do we have anything for non-public?
Yes, we
We do
do.
have a non-public tonight. And we won't be coming back, correct? No
Correct.
need to come back.
No need to come back.
So you need a motion, right?
I make a motion to go into non-public under
E.
91A E, section E.
Second?
Second.
Second by John?
Mr. Coy?
Yes.
Mrs. Roche?
Yep.
Mr. Giffen?
Yes.
Ms. Costa?
Yes.
Okay, and thank you, and we won't be coming back from non-public. Have a good week, everyone, and look forward to seeing everybody Saturday at Old Home Day. And don't forget, there's fireworks that night as well.
Finally.
We hope.